Hello, everyone, and welcome to Gerg and Muxl, a podcast that seeks to explore the unexplored topics in gaming, why they work, how they work, and why we love them. I am Muxl, and I am introducing you to this episode where we discuss a playthrough of Super Mario Galaxy 2. If you're interested in checking out the playthrough itself and want to watch the video, you can look at our YouTube channel by looking for Gerg and Muxl, or on twitch.tv/Gerg and Muxl. Hope you enjoy our thoughts, and let us know if you have any of our own. You can contact us by emailing muxl@gergandmuxl.com or gerg@gergandmuxl.com. That will get to either me or Greg, respectively. And thanks for tuning in.
Mario Galaxy 2, still consistently ranked as one of the best games of all time. I don't know, it's, again, I've made clear my own tastes and biases.
Sure.
But, I would be curious. I mean, so the big sticking point, for both of us, was a major mechanic being nailed to motion sensors of the Wiimote. Where one of the big, huge interactive things you can do in the game, which is spinning, requires you to shake the remote.
And that level where you had to platform by shaking the Wiimote.
Yeah.
It was really painful.
It also felt significantly less responsive in that one than for other times.
True. Well, you just had to do it like 12 times, and it needed to be like on point. So I think it probably just felt less responsive. But yeah, I mean, that's like an example of how you don't want a game to be hard.
Yeah, I guess.
Like getting the game to respond to what you're trying to get it to do is not a fun thing.
I'm just surprised that this was so universally praised when control scheme is such a... I mean, we were talking about this a little bit on the stream, but the control scheme really does tend to make or break games, particularly genre-defining ones, where if you manage, obviously, like with Halo, defined the FPS genre, or just kind of the ease of third-person brutal combat with God of War was, or Gears of War, third-person shooting. These are all kind of seminal games for, in large part, partly they nailed how to do a genre of game just the best way possible. And obviously there's other great things about those games, but that was a really
You mean in terms of like the control scheme?
Yeah.
They nailed the control scheme?
Yeah, like feeling, just having it be both intuitive as well as very responsive, reactive. And especially when we talk about platformers, more so than almost any of those genres, I mean, responsiveness and precision should be very, very high on those particular... The other thing about the Wiimote Nunchuck difficulty, and I don't know if this would change, but camera usage was... Fortunately, the camera wasn't a huge issue throughout most of the game, but usually with platformers, a huge thing, I remember, was controlling the camera entirely with another joystick. And you only have like a few camera like angles you can use and change.
Yeah, that felt weird.
But those are preset, and especially in a... maybe that was intentional, but especially I feel like for a fully three-dimensional or spherical-based platformer, that sort of thing would be, seems like to me it would be even more important. Like I said, actually, even in just playing for a couple hours, that didn't get in the way a whole ton. There's maybe once or twice where I felt like that, but all the same, it is just an interesting... I don't know if Nintendo laid down the next big Mario game has to be motion control oriented to some degree. I don't know how Galaxy 1 did it, and if this was iteration upon that. I think, as far as I know, 1 is considered better of the two, but by, like, very slim margin.
Right, yeah, I mean, I don't think it probably doesn't play radically different than this, right?
Yeah.
And I think that one reason why they could get away with not worrying so much about the camera is that you didn't... Because a lot of the worlds were spherical and you were on a planet, there wasn't a lot of being indoors, which is sort of classically hard for three-dimensional or third-person cameras to deal with.
Yeah.
Because you get hung up on walls, or like you can, so you can peek around corners, which is like you shouldn't be able to do that.
Right. I mean, yeah, I was just thinking in terms of every other modern, even just third-person, or even the games that I grew up with. Well, I guess not quite then. If you think about the old ones, again, like Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, those games didn't have camera controls in large part, but then, like, the PS2 era, Jak Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, Sly Cooper all innately had camera control as part of the 3D, or the platforming aspect of the game. And there is a level of linearity to, maybe that's why it works a little bit, where there's a level of linearity to it where you don't have to worry too much about the camera. Mm-hmm. There's one path through all of these levels, right?
In Crash games.
Well, in Crash for sure, but even in a game like Super Mario so far,
Yeah, like the Galaxy games, at least from what we saw, there wasn't a lot of forking of paths.
No, not at all. So, like, a game that was more truly three-dimensional, wasn't a path or linear where you could explore different areas, but it's still even just, like, rotating for the sake of, precise jumps and depth perception, which that happened a couple times, you don't get without that camera rotation. That's, like, the way that you fix that, is giving the player the control of
correct the
which
orientation.
And that fell through a few times. So it's fascinating to me that, again, not even just, like, a good game, but, like, this is, again, kind of ranked like number 3, I think, on game rankings.
Yeah, it
as
is
one of the
super surprising
best games of all time. One, it's interesting to me they would have a subpar control scheme.
Mm-hmm.
2, and like I said, I've been biased against games like this. Certainly as an adult, I probably would have enjoyed the crap out of it as a kid, but just a game without much narrative or fantasy to it doesn't capture me a whole ton in terms of the way that a game like that would be able to. Something that's narrative driven I can get into, or just like there's no exploration to it, or like I don't know, it's so good. I mean, obviously its creativity was off the charts.
Yeah, very creative. I would say that it had in spades.
And there's always been the thing that Nintendo does so well. I wonder how creative it is compared to Galaxy 1 though. That's the other thing, is that I feel like a lot of these concepts wouldn't be quite as creative if they'd been done before.
Sure.
But I don't know, and obviously polished to just glaringly bright polish in terms of just beautiful textures and sound design and quippy fun writing.
Yeah.
Something you can definitely jump into, play. It probably didn't take its well to playing for long periods of time together.
Well, you said it does or it doesn't?
Not really.
Yeah.
Not particularly. It's segmented enough that...
It's very segmented. It kind of harkens back to old Mario in that way, where you can sit down and play a couple of levels, and then I guess starting with like Super Mario World 3, right? You could like sit down and play a level and then leave.
Which isn't bad in of itself, by the way.
No.
Like, I'm not pulling for like just the full open worldness of past games. But yeah, I mean, I think partially I was just annoyed by the interface. I didn't like the one huge draw has to be that it's fun, and it's because it doesn't have any of the narrative. It doesn't have any. I mean, it's a Mario game. So
yeah, it has to be fun to
people
play.
People are really
and
emotionally
that's what
connected.
they fall back.
We talked about that a little bit on stream too. Like, if it wasn't Mario, how well would it have been received?
Well, and it is a little mysterious to me why it gets so well received.
Yeah, man. Like it felt really good. Like,
it makes sense that this isn't like a flop. Like I wouldn't expect this game to do poorly. I have to say though, compared to Super Mario Odyssey, I think Super Mario Odyssey was a lot more fun to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you attach that up to the control scheme, or just even just the idea of the hats and the different way that those can be used? And
I think the control scheme, like Mario felt way more mobile in Odyssey than he did in this. And I had a lot more fun just trying to like do crazy jumps and crazy like moves. It felt like there was less punishment for just like going for it in Super Mario Odyssey than there was here.
Yeah.
I wasn't worried about collecting a bunch of just random stuff that I wasn't sure why.
Unclear
I didn't have one hand that was like constantly waving around to try to like point at star bits.
Yeah, that's a big part.
So yeah, for all of those reasons, I would prefer Odyssey's control scheme. There might be a little bit of motion stuff with Odyssey. I can't remember now. But most of it was just if you wanted to do it, you hit a button, it happened. It was great.
And similar with, I mean, the Yoshi aspect, like you're saying, most of the outside of the spinning being a really major move that Mario has to be able to do, and that being linked to motion control. Other than that, there wasn't too much, because like you said, the star things didn't matter too much. But the Yoshi sections were super, super important to be able to. I mean, that was pointing, basically, with much less platforming. There's a level of split brain that happens there that is hard to, and it would get easier with practice, eventually get natural, but... and, of course, always keep in mind, this is only the first couple hours of the game that we've seen.
Right.
But, I don't know. Unless, like, the control scheme thing feels pretty... That won't change.
Right. How much of that do you think is just fundamental to a 3D platformer?
Like I said, I think in terms of the difficulty of the motion control.
Sure.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of other games that have put that in.
And like just
right.
perspective problems. You can help with the camera, so that's a real glaring error here. But also, it's just hard to do in 3D.
I mean, I'm just thinking of any other game that has successfully utilized motion into it. Like the PS3 and onward controllers have like a motion control kind of thing where you can like shake or change or drive even. That's never been fun. utilized well, in my opinion. Similarly with, there were some things I feel like even in Brawl that was on the Wii, Super Smash Brothers, that utilized that you could use with motion, and that no one ever used, and I turned off, and then would just learn the command.
Yeah, I think most people who are pretty serious about their games will feel this way. I just don't have a lot of tolerance for like margins of errors in controls.
Yeah.
Right? Like if it's going to be more error prone at all than pressing a button, then please just give me a button.
Yeah, which it doesn't. I mean, that's you've had a problem with like smartphones because of that from the very beginning.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's inference about where you're touching.
Yeah. When with a button that is literally a binary if it's pressed or not.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's I like feeling like I'm in control of the things that I'm trying to use as tools.
Hence keyboards.
Right.
Yeah. No, I agree entirely. I mean, I do wonder too. Like, if in like, did this feel better in 2010 when people were playing it? Like, was there?
Well, so like,
'cause I have no standard for what motion controls should feel like in terms of integration, and neither did they. Reviewers as a whole.
Sure.
I'm really curious, or maybe we totally like. It's also possible if we missed a way to turn that off, or an easier way to do it, or the fact that no one played with the nunchuck and Wiimote, then our bad.
Yeah,
and
well,
a lot of this goes out the window. But
it explicitly told us to plug in the nunchuck, so you have to. If you play with the Wiimote, you have to have a nunchuck.
Right.
There might be a different way to play it with like Pro Controller or something that I don't know
remember
about.
that being a thing in the Wii era.
There is the classic controller that you like. It's shaped kind of like a. It's funny because it's a controller that Nintendo's ever actually made, but it's shaped like a Super Nintendo, but if it had joysticks.
Oh yeah. That one. Yeah, I have no idea. Because past that, if you put all of that aside, just looking at like as a game, the polish, for what, again, trying to judge it on its own merits for what it is. I mean, I can't imagine a better version of this type of game.
No, I thought
I
job.
mean, it's fantastic and colorful and fun and everything that you would want out of a Mario game.
Yeah, very.
I just don't find that compelling, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, it seems to me like
Mario
games.
And I think
your cup of tea.
Yeah, so I didn't grow up on it, and two, I think the other big thing is, like I said, to keep me, because I'll play something if it is fun, but not horribly compelling, and it just wasn't fun enough, frankly. With a control, I think that's a big part of the controls.
Yeah.
I wonder if I'd had a lot easier time with that, then the game would have been a lot easier for me to play and then understand. But yeah, when that isn't even there.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Greg, but it seems like you're somebody who really values exploration in games, and not having that, does it seem like that's a problem for you?
I don't know. I'm definitely someone that likes to do everything in games lately. Yeah, like in my adult gaming life. Yeah, completion, and being able to go at like my own pace, I suppose, which that's not, limited by anything here. But yeah, in terms of, I'm trying to think of other games. Yes and no. I mean, like that. I think that itch would get scratched by the going back and being able to find like those comet pieces, or replaying the level to get more stars or that sort of thing.
Okay.
So in terms of the exploration point of, I think there is some level of enjoying new spaces and areas as set pieces, like things that are kind of cool in their own right.
Mm-hmm.
And while all the art was like really beautiful and well put together, like none of it was like, God, look how cool this is, this place we are.
Yeah, that's true. You wouldn't like stop and pause and just look around.
Right, as opposed to like, say, in a bigger kind of RPG or action game, the environments tend to be pretty darn cool where you're thinking about, And again, that goes into the fantasy level of like, again, I'm drawing on Arkham because that's all I've played in the past couple months, but of like being inside an airship above Gotham and being able to look out and see like the city as you're doing Batman-y things inside a blimp.
Right.
Is just cool. Like, that was a really cool set piece setting that I really enjoyed getting to like go around and see what it looked like, and that's partly, like I said, because I have an emotional connection to like Gotham. If that was somewhere else, I'd have less fun doing that. But yeah. So in terms of exploration, like, I think there's some level of newness and bigness that doesn't quite get captured with the maybe like incremental levels that Galaxy does. That being said, I've seen the first world. Like probably 10 at least.
Yeah, probably around there would be my guess. So we can look at like what progression, what progress we have on it. Let's see how far it says we are in this. Right at the screen.
I hate the point of the screen. I think it's the We Must dying.
It's dying. Everything's dying.
Everything's dying actually.
Come on.
There we go.
All right. It does not say how far we are through it. So this is not helpful. We have 8 stars. That's all we needed to know. Anyway. Yeah, it's unclear exactly how far we've gotten.
Maybe we've had those.
Decent amount more of game, I would guess.
As well as like.
I actually want to pull up a review and just see like what is it that this game was praised for.
I can keep talking. I'm curious too on the like level of what I'm pressing through like the whole emotion of playing Mario is like just straight positive too, right? Like it's entirely the whole aesthetic is like fun and cute and like you're just supposed to be feeling like generally entertained and like engaged. As opposed to like experiencing anything as well, anything else. Like there's no, it's not too like, even like viscerally satisfying, I guess. Like I can just glide around punching criminals out in Arkham or drive the Batmobile around because like there's some like power tripness there or slash like, I don't know, just like offloading aggression a little bit. That can sometimes be put in, and there's nothing horribly visceral. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just not good enough at the game too. I really did like the feel of the Z jumps and the triple jumps when you hit them. Yeah, those felt really good. Although I didn't have to use those yet in game. I'm sure those will come in later. But
so
what are you seeing?
Well, this is an analysis from Kotaku saying that. Basically, Mario Galaxy 2 has an easy mission because, for once, it is a Mario game without a big mission. It isn't. It's not basically not trying to surpass Super Mario 64. It's not trying to beat out Sunshine. Because it basically Mario Galaxy 1 had already succeeded, so
done all that.
It could sort of just have fun.
I know we did talk about that, which was the only 3D Mario game that is a sequel.
Yeah, that's never. Since it went 3D, that hasn't happened before. Right. I'm trying to see if they say anything about like the controls or the
is it a retrospective?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I can't see. I also wonder how long because reviewers get reviewer copies, right? They get a game that has been unlocked through. They'll play the opening, they'll play the middle, and they'll play part of the end, right?
Right.
So that they can, put in 10 hours of game time or whatever, and get a pretty decent look at the.
Yeah, they usually don't play all the way through. I would think, although some people, they do. And they consider that to be a real review because you actually get to see the whole game. And I would say for narratively driven games, that's very important.
I mean,
for a more mechanically centric game, I say you could probably play 5 or 6 hours of this and really get the sense of what it's about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Particularly if you play the whole range of things.
So it seems like the...
And, I don't know, too, again, even the cloud... Or the cloud hat mission, where I could, that was a great mechanic, and was really fun, but it was linked to the shaking again.
Right.
And so that was, immediately just viscerally less okay.
Because it was shaking.
But in terms of being able to make your own, having 3 platforms that you can make at your own discretion anywhere, there's all kinds of cool things you can do with that.
Oh, yeah.
So...
It seems like the things people really liked about it were the digging through the worlds, the cloud hat, and then...
Digging through the worlds was cool. That was a really clever idea. I'm sure that would have gotten iterated on. And
oh, yeah, I'm sure. But again, that was linked to that same...
Oh, you have to shake the dig?
That was shaking. So it seems like everything kind of gets tied back to that, which, yeah, it does make it less good to me, too. I just don't like that it has to be motion control.
So was the cloud hat... So those were the 2 things that people they were talking about?
There was probably a couple more things. Those are the 2 I saw.
But they're just cool mechanics.
Yeah.
And those are unique to 2 as opposed to 1 did that?
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, but they liked it at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, the digging was really cool.
Yeah,
must
I
admit,
thought that was one of the coolest things.
I would never
Puzzle
maybe not never,
solving that way.
yeah, through
Was super
thinking.
cool.
I think that just really took advantage of the sphericalness of a world in a way that you could never do in anything other than a sphere.
Right.
To think, like, yeah, that's very cool. Forces you to think circularly.
Reminds me a little bit of Ibn Ab, actually. Just
Oh,
like
sure.
You're on opposite sides of a world, and you kind of have to deal with both of them at the same time.
Did we play that?
No, you and Xander.
No, Xander and I played that. Did you watch it?
No, you
or-
told me about it.
I just told you about it.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, Ibn Ab was awesome in that regard. Thinking on both ends. But, yeah, maybe it will require a little bit more digging to discover just what...
the gem
Oh, yeah.
that is,
yeah,
is
that is the
buried
game. Yeah.
inside. Yes.
But, yeah, seems to be a incredibly adept Mario game with one major thing that I didn't like about it outside of not horribly liking this type of game.
Seems, yeah, that's pretty much what I would say about the Wii as a console.
Yeah, wow.
It seems like a pretty solid Nintendo console, except for this whole motion control
Yeah,
thing.
which ironically is probably what made it the top-selling console
Yeah.
of the generation by
That's
far. At least Wii Golf was fun.
That was really fun, actually. There was a couple really...
Wii Bowling, man.
Yep, everybody will have fond
Tennis.
memories of just ripping their arm out of their socket trying to bowl that ball.
Yeah, Wii Sports as a whole was probably the main success of the entirety of the Wii, wasn't it?
And that came bundled with the
I know.
Wii.
Yeah, I know. So really, you could say it was the Wii.
So any final thoughts on Super Mario Galaxy 2?
I mean, I feel like I've been too negative. I feel bad.
Yeah.
I also feel like I would have been more negative if I didn't know that it was...
Mario?
No, if I didn't know it was like the third best game of all time. Just
Yeah.
like comparing this to like, or just even as a whole, and I don't understand game development because I don't do it. But just to compare this to like the masterpieces like BioShock or Last of Us or Uncharted 2 or just all the things that go into a game like that, that are so many different pieces working together in terms of the control scheme and the art and the writing and the acting and there's just like control scheme art and music and like ingenuity here.
Right.
And
there are not
so,
there
I
are
don't
not
know.
as many moving pieces for this.
yeah, I suppose. I think I appreciate projects. And like I said, I don't do it, so I really can't appreciate... I can't, like, value those things correctly or objectively. But I just see a really top tier game. And like I said, I love games of storytelling so much, and there's no story told, so I'm not the person to ask at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know, what about you?
I
I mean, you like these games more. You grew up.
I do. Yeah, I grew up playing these games.
You play Sunshine
These are mostly the games I played. I'm actually not a big like story in games person.
Right.
I don't care that much about the story. Which bugs you sometimes when we play together, and I'll just click through dialogue,
Yes.
and he'll be like, "Wait, I wanted to read that," and I was
Yeah.
like, "Why?"
Why? Yeah.
And I was like, "I'm just having fun playing the game."
Yeah.
And so these sorts of games lend themselves more to
Yeah.
that, and I don't think it's as ambitious as something like The Last of Us, where it's like, yeah, you need writing and a plot and voice actors and just
And to be a fun game.
Like,
Like it's got to be
whole-
fun to
well, yeah, of
play,
course.
you know.
there are whole like industries you don't need to involve in order to make a
Yeah.
game like this.
Yeah.
And so for that reason, it's less ambitious. But I think it succeeds really well at what it tries to be.
Right.
And
And I think what people saw and recognized.
Yeah, it's a game with a lot of integrity, I think.
Sure.
I would say the one way it sort of sold out was to incorporate the goofy motion controls, and I
God, yeah.
don't really think they needed to do that. And so for that reason, I really can't give it full marks
Yeah.
as a game. But I would say it's quite good at what it was trying to do. It did pretty well.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Sweet. Well, it seems like a good roundup of Galaxy 2.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in.
Peace out.